Hello everyone, as the title suggests, today I'm going to be talking about plot holes again. I haven't done this since October, I believe. I did not expect that video to be as well received as it was. It got a massive amount of views in an extremely short amount of time, and to this day it's still one of my most popular videos. I'm pretty sure it's still the second most viewed one. I think I have more to say about plot holes than what I mentioned in that video. That was also a fairly long time ago, and I think I've gotten a lot better at talking on the fly, making unscripted videos like that than I was back then. And I'm also think I'm a little bit smarter, at least. I do have a Discord server now. If any of you want to come and talk to me sometime, I'll leave it linked in the description. Fair warning, the Discord server is fairly toxic. So if you're not comfortable with that, I don't recommend you join, unless you just want to stop by and say hey or something. But yeah, let's talk about the plot hole. So this comes from a CBR article. I don't think reading the beginning of this is all too important. I think the title is pretty self-explanatory. These plot holes they think should be addressed in Boruto. The article is fairly recent. This came out in February of 2020, so a little over 2 years ago, by, and I don't want to butcher this name, so I'll just make sure you can see it up here. Hashirama's death remains a mystery. I don't think this is a plot hole. It is weird though. It is extremely weird. You could tell with the first few chapters of Naruto, the Senju clan kind of wasn't supposed to be a big thing. In fact, it's almost not implied anywhere that they would ever be a big thing until possibly the end of part 1 when Naruto and Sasuke fight, and you kind of get that glimpse of the reincarnation thing through Kakashi, where he says so long as Naruto and Sasuke live, it's just like this continuous battle that's never gonna stop. Really weird Kakashi knew that. Don't understand how he was able to pick up on it, but regardless, he was. But you never get the feeling that the Senju clan are supposed to be this big, heavy hitter clan. All we get from them at this point is that Tsunade says both Hashirama and Tobirama died in vain for the village, and Hiruzen beating up a Hashirama and Tobirama clone. And even though we know now Hashirama and Tobirama were not at full power when they fought Hiruzen, back in part 1, that definitely was not the case. Hiruzen even says when he's fighting Hashirama that he possessed the same strength he always did. Me personally, I think in part 1, you could say this is like an inconsistency rather than a plot hole. I think in part 1, the Senju just weren't all that, and then they got turned into all that. I don't think Hashirama's death being a mystery is a plot hole. I think the only reason people are even interested in why Hashirama died is because of how strong he was. There's different headcanons people have as to how he died, being like, oh, cellular division, he eventually just got so sick he just conked out, or maybe he was on the battlefield for too long and ended up getting taken out by some people. And Tsunade does kind of give us a hint that might be the case, because it says he died in vain for the village, and she mentions Tobirama alongside that, and we know he did as well because he sacrificed himself for the rest of his team. I don't even know when this became a big deal, because I hadn't even seen Naruto until like 2019. The whole wave of this being a big deal kind of was missed on me. Minato being able to use Sage Mode. This, I do think you could maybe call a plot hole. So you get maybe a glimpse of it in the Pain arc, where Pa's like, oh, Naruto boy surpassed his predecessors or whatever, and it shows both Minato and Jiraiya there. My issue with that is that it doesn't show Sage Jiraiya. We know how Sage Jiraiya looks. He's not a perfect sage. He looks ugly. It doesn't show Sage Jiraiya, and Ma and Pa aren't on their shoulders, and Minato's over there, but it doesn't show their eyes. We don't know, what form Minato's in. That's the only maybe hint you get at it, that Minato has Sage Mode. But then in the War arc, when Minato sees Naruto use Sage Mode, he says, oh, so Naruto's mastered the same Senjutsu that Jiraiya did? And while that's not explicit evidence that he doesn't have it himself, because obviously we see later he does, it's weird that he goes, oh, Naruto mastered what Jiraiya did, instead of like, oh, he mastered what I did. You could say maybe it's Kishimoto just writing the characters to play into the narrative. He doesn't have it at the time because maybe he wants it for that big reveal where he does nothing with it. But I think it just wasn't a thing, especially considering how quickly Minato was able to gather his Senjutsu energy. and he never used it in his fight against Obito. It was never even thought of by him, at least to our knowledge. We do get pretty clear insight on Minato's thoughts during the flashback. We get to kind of see him think through the process of tying up the Nine Tails, half in him, half in Naruto, sacrificing himself and his family for the village, blah blah blah. We get to see him break down Kamui. So I think it's pretty consistent in that flashback for us to see Minato go through things mentally, break them down, and how he's gonna solve them. And Sage Mode is never brung up whenever he's talking about dealing with Obito. When he's talking about dealing with Obito, it's just pure speed. And you think, with Sage Mode, something's gonna make him faster and hit harder, which he hit Obito one time. And imagine if, low ball Sage Mode, say it's a 10 times increase. Imagine if that Rasengan was 10 times stronger and he hit Obito with it. He would have killed him. So I don't know. This might be a plot hole. I think it's a bit more inconsistent than a plot hole, sort of like this one up here. Minato mastered QB mode somehow. I don't think this is a plot hole at all. I think it's just implied that Minato got QB mode because the half of the Nine Tails that was put into him was the nice half. Naruto got the mean half, Minato got the nice half, so the Nine Tails just gave Minato its form. Minato also has a different looking form than Naruto. I'll try to put a scan up for this so you can see, but Minato's seal is a bit higher on his form than it is on Naruto's because the yin and yang thing. And even when Minato's mentally distressed and he's thinking about all the bad decisions he made, the Kurama inside of Minato helps him. He thinks of ways to comfort Minato to bring him back up. Obviously they're not successful. Naruto eventually has to do that, but Minato just has the nicer half of Kurama, and that's always, to me anyway, how I explain that he got the QB mode. Now you could say, since it's not explicitly stated, maybe you think it's inconsistent, but I don't agree with that at all. I don't think that the author making you use your brain a little bit would discourage any of the writing at all. I think you kind of need to use your brain anyway to interpret fiction and the things that they're saying in the most valid way. So yeah, Minato having QB mode isn't in any way a plot hole. The logic behind the Hyuga clan curse mark is inherently flawed. The Hyuga clan curse mark is a brand that distinguishes the main Hyuga clan from its branch families. The logic behind this curse mark is to deactivate the Byakugan in case another clan tries to steal it for nefarious purposes. That's not the only purpose though. The mark also keeps the side branch in line whenever they step out of line. You get to see, I forget Hinata's dad used it on Neji's dad. I forget their names because their names are so confusing, but you get to see Hinata's dad use it on Neji's dad to keep him in line. You get to see the mark glowing and whatnot. However, that's the actual intent behind the curse mark. Then what's stopping anyone from abducting someone from the main family instead and stealing their eyes? Yeah, I mean, again, that's not the primary purpose, or it's not the only purpose. At least I don't know the primary purpose, but at least that's not the only purpose. And I would guess that the protection for the main branch family members are the side branch family members. Which is why Neji gets assigned to protect Hinata whenever he's little. He's like, oh yeah, his dad's like, you'll be in charge of Hinata, you have to protect her. So the side branch gets the seal, and the main branch gets the side branch as protection. That's all. I mean, I think this is cool. I don't think this is a plot hole at all. With Hinata becoming an even more part of the canon, maybe this question will be answered once and for all. I don't think so. Because I don't think this will be answered because it's already stated Naruto fixed the Hyuga clan like he said he was going to do to Neji whenever they were kids. So I don't think there's any reason to bring this back up. The logic behind Itachi's master plan is inherently flawed. Okay. I can't wait to read this one. Speaking of flawed logic, we simply have to bring to light the incredibly brain-dead plan of Itachi when it came to grooming Sasuke as a protector of Konoha. While the decision to cull the Uchiha clan wasn't Itachi's decision, it was his own personal choice to let Sasuke be. The logic behind this was for Sasuke to use his hatred of Itachi to become incredibly strong and use this strength to protect the leaf. Instead, after figuring out how Konoha was manipulated Itachi for their own purposes, Sasuke decided to destroy Konoha instead. Perhaps we might finally see Sasuke's introspect upon his brother once again in Boruto, so we can understand from... This didn't explain it. All it did was list events. It doesn't actually explain why the plan was inherently flawed. Itachi knew this was gonna happen to some extent. He had faith in Naruto to stop Sasuke, and then on top of that, he figured once he got EMS is when Sasuke would do this, which is kind of what he planned to do. And then when Sasuke got EMS, it was going to have Itachi's eye in it or whatever, and the crow was going to come out and put him under Kodo Matsukami. But yeah, I mean, Itachi also never planned for Sasuke to know the truth about him. That was an Obito thing, so it's not like the plan was bad. I think if Obito didn't interfere, the plan might actually have just gone through. Like Sasuke might have returned to the leaf to protect it. So I mean, I don't think the plan was bad. I could probably make a whole video on this plan and all the things that like come of it. It's like crazy. If the Jinchuriki, I scroll too far. If the Jinchuriki seal is weakest during childbirth, why are females chosen as Jinchuriki at all? Kushina just had the capacity to contain the Nine Tails. Not everyone can do that. That's it. Like there was nobody else who could be a Nine Tails Jinchuriki. I mean, you even get to see when Minato is sealing away the Nine Tails. He says it's physically impossible for him to seal away all of the power that is the full Nine Tails. And if that's the case, and someone like Minato can't do it, nobody else strong enough around could do it. That's why Kushina had to do it with her chains inside of herself. So that's why females are chosen as Jinchuriki at all. I don't think this is preferable though. Mito also did this, and it could also be the case that they don't expect female Jinchuriki to have children. But yeah, I don't like this. Normally isn't even a big deal, by the way. That's why the Hokage's wife giving childbirth was such like a black ops mission. Obito figured it out, and then he went and messed it all up. But that wasn't the original intention. If Obito didn't come, Minato would have properly redone the seal and left with his kid and wife. It would have been perfectly fine. So yeah, this isn't a plot hole. This doesn't even read like a plot hole. This just looks like a question you have about the show. For being the weakest dojutsu, the Sharingan is ridiculously powerful. All the statements about the Sharingan being the weakest dojutsu have context to them. So the one is that Kakashi says purely in perceptive ability, the Sharingan is better than, the Byakugan is better than the Sharingan, which is kind of true because the Byakugan can see the Tenketsu points, gives you access to better taijutsu. And then imagine the Chidori, which kind of gives you tunnel vision whenever you're running with it because you're so fast. If you have 360-degree vision, that obviously won't be a factor. And even then, like I said, base Sharingan, Kakashi literally can't be including the MS in it because he doesn't know of the MS at that time. It's during the Chunin exams. So, no. This isn't a plot hole at all. How was Obito able to give Kakashi the Sharingan after his death? Because the Pure Lands in Naruto is a separate time space, and Kamui can connect time spaces. Chakra is also naturally connected through people, and Obito didn't lose his chakra because we see whenever Kaguya's ash bones leave Obito as a pile of ash, we see his chakra floats up out of it and goes into Kakashi. So it's essentially all these factors that can connect them, and Obito just used them properly because he's able to because of his Mangekyo. Not a plot hole. Naruto being given the Uzumaki name. This doesn't actually get explained in the manga, but I'm pretty sure this was to protect him because nobody knew he was Minato's son. So I guess people just like, where'd he come from? I don't even know if people knew Kushina was the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki outside of Hiruzen and everyone. So I don't know. And Naruto also isn't even the last Uzumaki, so like the plan was fine. Like Karin's around, so the plan was fine. Why was Naruto left to fend for himself during his childhood? This is kind of a plot hole. I'm not gonna lie. The way they talk about Hiruzen in data books, where Hiruzen is this great grandpa to everyone in the village, like what was Hiruzen and Naruto's relationship even? In the anime filler, Hiruzen is kind of mean to Naruto, being honest, but Hiruzen doesn't really do anything outside of that. Like, he looks at his crystal ball sometimes, oh well. But while Hiruzen was Hokage, he trained all 3 of the Sannin. Why not do the same for Naruto sometime? I don't know. I think that situation is extremely weird, and it just something Kishimoto was not accounting for whenever he made this series, or whenever he was thinking of Hiruzen later down the line and making him the character he was. I think Hiruzen was supposed to be a more neutral leader at first than the grandfather of the village. But so I mean, I guess you could call this a plot hole then, or an inconsistency, doesn't matter. But yeah, that's the video. Again, Discord server in the description if you want to join. And if you like the video, like, obviously, subscribe as well. I really love subscriptions. And have a nice day.